Welcome back to another episode of Day1Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. I'm Maurice Garland in here with Brandon Peters. What's going on, man?
Ain't nothing, man. What's going on, man? How you been?
I've been all right, man. I've been above maintaining. I hate before it's man, I'm maintaining. I've been above maintaining.
That's good. Above maintaining is good. Same here. It's been a crazy last week or so, but I am above maintaining as well. Spirits are definitely well. Woke up, when we taped this morning to some crazy news, man. Craig Mack passed away, dog.
Yeah, man. I saw that, but I didn't see it at first. You know what I'm saying? It's like, 'cause I'm not on social media like that, but it's like I saw things floating around. But it's like it's a trip how people communicate now, because I didn't know what happened. I just saw people posting videos and pictures of this man with like the prayer hands, and it's like nobody was saying words. I was like, well, is this man's birthday? Did I miss a Funk the World anniversary or something? You know what I'm saying? But then finally I saw the news actually spell out rapper Craig Mack has died. So I didn't really know he died until like this afternoon.
And it's crazy, bro. Like literally, like you weren't here yet, but we in the last few weeks we had a guest come in. I'm not gonna say their name because of what I'm about to say, but before you came, we were chopping it up, and somehow Craig Mack came up, and they were like, obviously we all know he's in North Carolina, and he was sick, and I was like, yo, I'll drive to North Carolina to interview Craig Mack. Like, that's an incredible interview, but when this person said that he was sick, I didn't think it was like dire situation. And we also talked about how he was very upset that, like, I assumed, because I don't remember who did the Bad Boy documentary, the tour documentary. You remember who did it?
It came on Apple Music.
But who directed it?
No, I do not.
I don't remember who. Please forgive me, and I'm not finna look it up. So that person who directed, I saw them on Instagram say that they had reached out to him to be part of the documentary, and he declined. So I assumed he also declined being a part of the tour. But from what this person told me, he was hurt. The Puff never reached out to him to be a part of that tour. And I don't think people really understand, unless you're of a certain age, how big of a impact that Craig Mack had. And if there was no Flavor in Your Ear, there would probably be no Bad Boy.
Right, because that was the one that kicked the door in.
It was the first single they ever released, and it was a huge single.
And quiet as kept, it was the Flavor in Your Ear remix that kind of blew Biggie. Okay, like granted, Ready to Die was already out. You know what I'm saying? Juicy was already out. You know what I'm saying? Big Papa was bubbling, but it was his verse on that Flavor in Your Ear remix that folks was like, yo, man, this dude Biggie be going off, bruh. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Craig Mack is definitely a foundational brick in what is Bad Boy Records, man.
Oh, 1,000%. Like, my thing is this, man. Like, and I understand that he disappeared after that first album, and he gave his life to God. We done seen them weird videos that he was doing, but bro, you can't take away Flavor in Your Ear. Did Flavor in Your Ear come out before or after Grinding?
Grinding what? What you mean?
The clips, Grinding.
Way before, man.
Okay, I don't remember.
Flavor in Your Ear was like 1994. Okay. Grinding was like all right, 2002.
Okay. So Flavor in Your Ear was really like one of the first beats that just random MCs started rapping over for no reason. Like, the beat was just that banging. You know what I mean? Because Grinding automatically comes to mind as one of the other ones where everybody had some kind of verse over it. But dog, like Craig Mack wasn't no whack MC, and Craig Mack also had been in the game for a minute. Like he was DJ Scratch's roadie. Like he was setting up turntables for Scratch. He was in a group and had a deal before Bad Boy ever even existed. So he was kind of OG in the game, and that Big Mac campaign is one of the greatest marketing campaigns in hip-hop history. Like, if you don't know what we're talking about, look that shit up. Like, it was an amazing piece of that, man. 46 years old is very young to die, bro.
Yeah, man. Like, rap years, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really see too many rappers like, oh, he passed away at the age of 50. Or 50.
That's young, too. That's young too. Like, I mean, hip hop isn't old enough for us to have people in their 80s and shit.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get there. Like, hopefully we'll be old as shit and watching CNN and see the, you know, so I don't want to wish death on nobody, that so-and-so dies that we grew up on because they was 85 years old. They talking about shit he did or she did when she was 20. Yeah. Like, hopefully we see that. You know what I mean? But it's crazy, man. Fellas and ladies, please take care of yourself. I don't know what his situation was. I don't know what his health situation was or any of that, but please make sure that you take care of yourself and go to the doctor, eat right, you know what I mean, work out. If you're going to do some bullshit, offset the bullshit with something good. You know what I mean? If you're having a steak dinner today, don't eat no meat tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is all about balance, man. It's just crazy, man. So, yeah, we woke up to that shit, man. That threw me for a loop for sure. And then we also got all week people been talking about this goddamn Bruno Mars situation.
So what's the problem now? It's like, it seems like there's a new problem with this person. Like,
don't mention the person's name.
I don't even know where this new one originated from. That's why I was kind of confused. It's like every week there's a new narrative out about this man.
I think it was twofold. Michelle Ndegeocello has a new album coming out.
Okay.
And part of, I believe, I ain't going to insult that woman because she's a legend. But it felt like part of her marketing campaign, this Billboard interview, the first question they asked in the interview was something about Bruno Mars winning Grammys. And she was like, essentially, he's doing karaoke. He's doing BBD. He's doing Babyface, whatever. Finesse is essentially, you know, Belle Biv DeVoe. And I'm just like, you just did an album of covers. And I don't know if she was trying to throw shots because it's a written interview, so you don't know if things were edited down. But I'm like, you can't drop an album of covers and then turn around and say somebody is doing karaoke.
So, like, here's where I'm kind of confused with in these discussions. Like, everybody throws around the word cultural appropriation. Like, what exactly is that? Because I see groups do it and pay homage and they get called out for it. I see people steal styles.
Who gets called out for it if they pay homage?
Like you have groups like, well, artists like Bruno Mars. I remember one of our guests, DJ Jake one and Mayor Hawthorne. They have the group Tuxedo. They got, you know, a little bit of flack. Oh man, like they basically making Gap Band music all over again. You know what I'm saying?
Saw that they just released a single with Zapp.
Who, Tuxedo?
Yeah.
See, exactly. So, like, is that appropriation if they are working with the people who originated the sounds? Is it just because that they are not black that it automatically makes it?
When the last time somebody black hired Zapp to do anything?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, why is it appropriation based solely off of skin color? Like, if the person is giving props in their work, like, even like when people like Macklemore go back and make songs with, you know, Kool Moe Dee and all those legends and stuff, he still catches like, ah, man, he's doing it, but it's like he's paying homage to folks that most black rappers around his age are saying, get them old ass niggas out of here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what is the line of cultural appropriation? Like, what is it exactly?
Dude, I feel like the whole conversation is somewhat bogus because honestly, just because you're white or non-black and you're doing black music does not mean that you are a culture vulture or appropriating culture. If you pay homage, if you know where it comes from, and you keep it 100, then I can't be mad at you. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. I'm not the gatekeeper or none of that. That's just my personal opinion. But I honestly feel like also people just like to complain.
Yeah, like
Bruno Mars' album is jamming. Period. Like, period. He won a bunch of Grammys. That's cool. You know, people feel like maybe Kendrick should have won, maybe this one should have won, maybe that one should have won. It is what it is. My thing is this, straight up. The album is jamming. He says where it came from. He's never come out and said, this is my style.
Right.
I created this. You know what I mean? He's not one of these ignorant rappers like Lil Xan saying that Tupac's music is boring and shit like that. So how can you knock this man?
I don't know. Like you said, like people just like to find things to complain about. I mean, granted, I have heard people say that they do not like the album precisely because of that reason, but they haven't necessarily like called the man names and accused him of anything either. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand when people say, well, man, I know where I can get this from. I don't want to hear this from him. So I can get it like just from a taste point, but like just to call the man, you're appropriating culture, you're stealing.
I feel that way about rappers. I'm not going to say none of their names because a lot of them are friends of the show. But there are certain rappers that I don't necessarily listen to because they sound so much like other rappers that I don't need to listen to it. I'm not knocking it. If you're influenced by that, then you're influenced by it. Like, it is what it is. That doesn't mean you're appropriating something. That's just what you influenced by. Like, Vanilla Ice is a cultural appropriator. You know what I mean? That is a perfect example of that. If you don't pay homage, if you say that you made this shit up, if you are downing people that did it before you, then you're a cultural appropriator. But people need to relax. And the woman who made the viral video that got people talking about that shit, she just want attention. That's all that is.
She definitely got it because I don't even know who that person is. I was like, oh, so this is the person that started it? Who is this person? You know what I'm saying? So she got what she was asking for.
Right. I ain't even saying no names at all. And it looked like our guest is low. What's up, fellas? Huh? He coming up the stairs now. I know y'all been listening for about 10 minutes and watching for about 10 minutes. This is not a no guest show, even though y'all from the numbers, y'all seem to love those. So our guest is coming up right now, right on time. Our guy DJ Byron won. So we're gonna go ahead and get him set up.
How you doing? Marwan, yes sir, absolutely. Appreciate y'all.
We already recorded, man. No pleasantries. Come on.
Good to see you, man.
What's going on with you, man? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
You came in right on time. We got a hot button question to ask you. What's going on, brother? Dude, so I think it's not
right into a hot seat.
It's not as much of a thing. I don't think it's as much of a thing in hip hop because you have so many people that are not black that have contributed to hip hop, especially on the production side and on the DJ side. Have you ever got hit with that culture vulture or cultural appropriator line from anybody?
No, not specifically. My mom's Mexican. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm more Mexican, I guess, than anything else. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I definitely think back, you know, when I first started, there were questions like, what is this white kid? You know what I'm saying? It's still up here white. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what does this white kid know about hip hop? But then, you know, once I let them know I know about Player G, and you know what I'm saying? We started going down Memphis rap and Texas rap and all this stuff. They're like, damn, this kid did his homework and like is really a fan. I feel like hip hop inspired so many people, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like no, everybody was touched by it, and it just changed everything. You know what I'm saying? You know, I feel like, you know, the cultural appropriation are people that are like, you know, hawkishly taking parts of, you know what I'm saying, which has definitely been going on since the beginning of, you know what I'm saying, since music is there, you know.
And that's what we
did we say saying. This man's name?
Yeah, we said DJ Byron wanted to come in. Come on, man. No, that's what we were saying because we were talking about the whole Bruno Mars thing and how this week it was like that little mini bullshit ass debate about whether Bruno was a cultural appropriator, and I'm like, that's just crazy. Like, the dude pays homage every time he gets a chance, and this shit is jamming. Like, it ain't like it's weak. You know what I mean? If it was weak, but it, you know, in hip hop, it's a little bit different. So I was curious to know your take on that, man.
I feel like he lets you know where it comes from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He tells you exactly his influences. He's bigging them up. You know, any kid who doesn't know him, I feel like they're going to go check that out. You know what I'm saying? That's like the whole point of hip-hop sampling. You know what I'm saying? It's like to learn about Roy Ayers and all these people that we normally wouldn't have just came across, you know? I wouldn't have just listened to Willie Hutch, probably. But listen to 3 6 Mafia, I'm like, what is that sample? And then you hear the Mac, you're like, holy shit. You know?
Like when you're telling people where the source is from, I can't knock it because, like, hell, even like the young people that I work with now, like, they had no idea what In Living Color was. But they saw the Finesse video. So they're like, oh, man, what's this Living Color show? I need to go find this because this looked like a cool time. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, man, well, somebody did their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody let somebody know about something. And now you're holding up your end of the bargain by going and looking it up. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I can't knock you if you're, like, connecting You know what I'm saying? If you're making bridges out here, you know what I'm saying? You get, like, if you're just taking it and running with the ball, then yeah, but I mean, I can't knock that dude, man.
Yeah, if he said he was like the only one making music like that, and it's the only time that's ever been made, that's
I created New Jack Swing. Bruno Swing.
Right. Conversation.
And if they do mess around and make next year's Super Bowl halftime show the Blackest Show Weather, like, it's gonna go back to this man. Hey, y'all done had me up here 2-3 times.
Yeah.
It's time for y'all to do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey.
Progress, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, man, I had reached out to Burn One because I was following the whole thing on Instagram and all of that stuff, and you have been like fighting that fight that people, I think Nori was one of the first people to be like, yo, we need rights as artists. He was speaking more of artists, you're speaking more of producers, musicians, engineers, but please break down like how you not getting paid for beats that you put out on SoundClick that ended up on A$AP Rocky's first project that you didn't get paid for 7 years. How did that turn into you wanting to kind of be like a vehicle for other creatives who have not been paid by labels to get their money?
You know, when my thing happened, I was just kind of, you know, I realized that I'm just a drop in the bucket of these business practices that have just kind of continued. You know what I'm saying? Right. What I view as now is this is the evolution of the music business. You know, like when it first started and majors first came out, nobody was getting royalties or publishing. You know, the labels were getting all that. Right. And then it's like, all right, well, you wrote the song, you produced it, y'all get some of it. You know, but the musicians were still getting scale. Same thing, no matter what. You know, no matter how much they did. So I think now it's like, you know, you see musicians getting paid for writing licks and writing music and stuff like that. So I think we're just having to take the next step in, you know, creating these laws to protect, you know, artists and producers and musicians and engineers with, you know, upgrading the copyright laws, you know, creating a union to adapt to how everything has changed. You know, it's like the labels have switched their ways around and be like, oh, we need some money from your shows, we need some money off the merch, we need off this.
360 thing.
So for them to cry poverty and be like, well, there's no money for you, the guy who made the music, we just paid the person who mixed it, who shot the video, who did this, who did that, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna pay everybody but you. It just doesn't seem sufficient, you know what I'm saying? And I started the email, the label still owes me a Gmail. And people have just been pouring out with their industry horror stories, and it's across the board.
What are some of the stories? Like, what's like the craziest story you've heard so far via email from people?
This wasn't even about a label. It's just people with their you know, just business period. This football player plays in the NFL. Had this guy over his house for 6 months, working on this stuff. You know, went through 9 revisions of this contract. Had an agreement pretty much, but just never signed it, and then went ahead and just put out the project with like 4 of his tracks on there without paying him and without signing the agreement or anything. You know?
You see, football players that have released music recently?
I don't know, man. You know, it's like that's for them.
I hope it ain't him, because I actually kind of enjoyed that particular. I hope it's not the person I'm thinking about, because I was like, damn, like, some of this shit actually kind of jamming, you know?
I mean, there's only so many football players that they got projects out, so like,
I could probably extrapolate.
Yeah, but, exactly. Does he play for the Steelers?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't follow sports really.
Hilarious. That's a lie. We know that's not true.
Yeah. But you know, it's like there's all types of stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? It's like you know, there's pretty wild ones, and so I'm doing a bunch of things to enact to just, you know, help protect the artists. And I realized I was reading Gucci's book, and he told one of my stories in there about for his autobiography about back, you know, when I like told him about mixtapes and how he didn't have to rely on the label. So it's like I've been on this quest subconsciously. You know what I'm saying? I've always been for artist rights and producer rights and everybody getting their fair share. You know what I'm saying? It's just we need to now I realize it's just so egregious, and they're just gonna keep doing it. Once I get my money, somebody, you know, it's like it's just gonna be the next producer or the next, you know.
Well, and that's what I thought was kind of dope, because we've heard, you know, we're both friends with Chandre, and his drama with Cash Money. You know, Banner's come out and talked about his issues with Cash Money. You know, Wendy Day has fought for so many people to get their bread from different labels. So what made you be like, this isn't just about me, I want other people to speak up as well? Because it's easy to just be like, I was wrong, I'm going to do an interview about it, I'm going to get a lawyer, I'm going to do whatever. But for you, it seems like you kind of, well, like, let me take the brunt of whatever backlash comes, but we need to get everybody paid. Shit need to be fair.
It was the sheer amount of people that hit me up there was a lot of people that reached out to me, and they're still reaching out to me. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of people, and just seeing how many people, you know, and just not feeling like, I just want a level playing field, you know? Like, we create art, and I feel like because we love art, people will take advantage of you to create. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would work for free, so people were just like, well, work for free then. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll just take advantage of it. I think it's just, you know, just creating this level playing field, you know, to keep it to where everybody's on the even keel. So I just want to, you know, make people knowledgeable. And so I'm starting a website basically like Producer 101, you know, this is in advance. These are the different types of royalties. These are, you know, this is what you can accept. This is a producer deck. This is, you know, how you deal with different things. It's just like walking people through stuff. You know what I'm saying? I feel like not, you know, spreading knowledge is the first part, you know? Yeah. And a lot of people aren't very happy with me right now because they're just, the industry way is sue me or shut up. You know what I'm saying? Right, sue me or shut up. That's what you know, essentially I was told, you know what I'm saying? Like, sue me and get your money or be quiet. And I'm like, no, we need to talk about this. Right. You know what I'm saying? I feel like sunlight on these business practices is the best thing because nowadays people aren't going for, and it was the amount of people that hit me up, like just regular people. Like, yeah. They haven't paid you? I love your music. I wrote to this shit all the time and da-da-da-da-da. You know, and I'm like, we have everybody on our side, you know? Right. And seeing how there's so much music being made, so much money being made off music, but it's not the people making the music that are making the money. Exactly. It's the people who aren't making the money and they're making it. So I just wanted to be like, we're making the music, we're making the rules. You know what I'm saying? We're not going for 75 cents on the dollar. We're not going for pennies on what we deserve. You know, if we deserve $1, we're getting the whole dollar and we're not going to beg for it, you know? Yeah. We're going to go through legislation, we're going to create a union, we're going to do all these things to make sure everybody is protected and things are handled on the up and up. So as much as possible, you know what I'm saying? There's always gonna be snakes and
why does this happen so often? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause we do hear about artists and producers saying, man, them dudes never paid me. So it's like, is it a thing where folks are afraid of like messing up the vibe in the studio? Like they come in there with a beat, everybody jamming, and nobody wants to be the person to be like, all right, bro, so this how much I'm gonna need for that as you go into the booth and lay down your verse. I'm gonna need this much. Is it a thing where that nobody wants to be that person that, you know, folks are not getting paid?
Well, usually if you're dealing with a major artist, you're not really negotiating with them or talking with them about anything more than just the music. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't want to mess up the future check. I know me personally, I didn't say nothing because I'm like, shit, they're gonna call me on the next album. They know they didn't pay me on the last one. They go holler at me on the next one. You know what I'm saying? Right. And they're like, next album goes by. You're like, no, then we got Danger Mouse and Jim Johnson. All right. Then they go get somebody else on the next one. We're like, probably not finna come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You realize that, but people just don't want to mess up these relationships. And it's like, you know, I want people to realize, go to the fans. You know what I'm saying? Go to the people. Create these relationships with these artists. You know what I'm saying? Like, industry relationships are all fake. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff is fake. Like, everybody's worried about their jobs. They're worried about you know what I'm saying? They don't want to anger this person. You know, it's like, put out your music. Connect to the people. You know, you're never going to go wrong with that. You know? And I think this whole thing is just focusing, like, we don't need labels for distribution. We don't need certain things for this, you know? But, yeah, I think, you know, them being removed from the business and there always being somebody on the label side to like pass the buck to somebody, you know, and there's not as much money involved. Like Bangladesh and Jim Johnson had a bunch of money at stake with Lil Wayne, you know what I'm saying? So it made sense. A lot of the stuff is you're trying to get in advance that, you know, might have been like $2,000 and some royalties, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, who's gonna take that case? You know?
But on the flip side of that though, like you really don't know what a song is going to make because there are songs that do nothing for years and then do something, or like we were just talking about Tuxedo earlier and we were chopping it up with Jake One, and like Jake One made the John Cena walkout music but got paid a flat fee for like 6 tracks. That shit's on a Toyota commercial. You know what I'm saying? And it's heard multiple times a week in multiple arenas and 2 or 3 times a week on TV every week for millions of people. You know how much bread that is over 15 years? You know what I mean? So it's like you got to understand and respect your own work even before other people do.
Now, is it only labels doing this, or is it also, you know, the guy that you're like, hey bro, like, is it them as well? Is it the independent artists that are out here doing the shady stuff, or is it more so like the big labels that are doing it?
I feel like it's more so the labels because they can always pass the buck to somebody else, you know, like 10 times out of 10 if an indie artist approaches you about music, even if it's for a mixtape, they know they're gonna pay something. You know what I'm saying? There's
other than Chance the Rapper.
There's that understood respect. I don't know. I ain't worked with them. All this stuff is out there, you know. But yeah, there's just at least that much of a mutual respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason they're hanging on not paying me for this, the label's excuse is that they put it on a mixtape that wasn't monetized. You know. But it's like he's doing shows and touring off and stuff like that. So
at least, at the very least, it's mechanical performance, something.
Yeah, and to me, it's just a respect factor of something. I don't need $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, just show me you respect my work and that I contributed to the project. You know what I'm saying? It's like
100%.
I feel like that's the base issue of what's up with producers. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to get their stuff, but I realize it's everybody. You know, like I said with the email, engineers have been reaching out about not getting paid for sessions.
Which is crazy.
Artists, I've heard all types of stuff. So.
So you brought up something that is a point, and I feel like you can probably explain it better than the average person. You know, recently we saw Atlantic Records, the story come out about Atlantic Records calling real projects mixtapes to go around paying producers or paying musicians or whatnot. So is that something, like you said, that the labels have used that as an excuse, saying we're not monetizing it, but these things are up on streaming sites, so they're making money. So how can that be a valid excuse?
Yeah, they've bastardized the term mixtape. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing they won't ruin. You know, not all of them are bad. Not all labels are bad. You know, I'm not sitting here bashing. But to take that mixtape term and use it as an excuse to not pay somebody is crazy. Right. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make a bit of sense. And it's like, you know, and then, you know, my records aren't even on streaming. To have stuff, I have one guy who did reach out to me who's like an OG who they hit him up and got him like a mixtape price and they gave him the love, and it's out and it's one of this artist's favorite, you know, biggest songs, and he still hasn't even gotten the advance yet.
Come on, man. Isn't that the term advance like, means advance, like we pay you before?
And they had an agreement, and this guy's established, and you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I just feel like they're operating off of sue me to get your money, you know what I'm saying? And I don't understand that. I'm not grasping that. I feel like if that happened in, you know, the retail world or, you know, anything else, there would be some type of, I don't know, like fraud or something. You know what I'm saying? There would be other words for things that we're talking about. It wouldn't just be like, oh, you just didn't get paid, you know? So I think there's a lot of things with the laws that can be upgraded. And then just a lot on just, you know, making producers more knowledgeable. And really everybody more knowledgeable just about to handle stuff, you know?
Right. You brought up the term union earlier. Do you think it would be possible to have a union in music? Like, it's something that's been kicked around probably for decades.
There is a musicians union, SAG, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like there's things that we could be doing now, you know, to protect people even more so, to where, you know, if you get in the studio with these people, this is what's understood. Because I've had a lot of musicians reach out who haven't been compensated for #1 records and stuff that I could tell you, and you'd be like, you just be like, oh my God, you know? And it's like, some of these stories are about to start coming out, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're finding ways, we're working on a lot of stuff right now, you know, as far as just people telling their stories and then us just taking the control back, you know? But there's some stuff out there that'll just like make you sick to your stomach on people have just been like robbed of their credit and just not properly taken care of, you know?
So shady.
So one other thing I'm looking into taking advantage of is just this new blockchain technology, you know, as far as like, you know, just different ideas on how to copyright things automatically, you know what I'm saying? To where like as soon as something's created, these things are already like, this is an understood thing, and then that thing can go off, you know? Like, there's so many ways. So I've been talking with a lot of really smart people on that, because it's like a little bit out of my depth. I'm just learning about it, you know? But there's definitely like a lot of ways that can be applied too. So we're just looking at all different types of arenas.
So many, you know, ways to put out music, produce music. Like, who are the culprits that can actually be found liable when you're like, I didn't get paid? Like, do you still have to go to the label? Do you go to the manager? Do you go to the streaming service? Like, who is the culprit that you can go to? Like, hey, I ain't get paid, and I know somebody in this room is making money off of this. Where's mine at?
Yeah, it's always falling back on the label. Like, if it's up on a streaming site, you can hire an admin company to go collect your YouTube royalties and some stuff like that, you know? But as far as like who's held liable, it's always going to be the label.
Right. Is it also,
unless it's an independent artist or something like that? Yeah.
Right. Is it? Do you think at some points it's a thing of ignorance, to where, because I know, I believe it was Spotify, and I don't even know if this is like fully public yet, that they were paying they were clearing everything for the original, for the song that everybody knows, but they hadn't cleared rights for the song that was sampled. So that could be a whole lot of bread that they have to pay in the future just for an oversight. So do you think at times it's like an ignorance thing? Like, oh, we thought this person was paid, or we thought we didn't have to do this, but oh, we do.
There's probably a little bit, not as much, you know. I'm less inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt, just seeing as how their practices seem pretty prevalent and on a just consistent basis, you know, for the fact that they think, you know, even with the Cash Money thing, they think you don't have to pay Jim Johnson in Bangladesh is like, right. You just gave Lil Wayne the biggest record of, you know, of forever.
I think that's him, more of like a come get your money. But
that's the prevalent attitude in the industry. This is what I'm telling you. Everybody, like, people think it's just Birdman or whatever. It's everybody. Like, everybody's like, just come get it. You know, just come get it. It's a little bit like the Wild West.
That's insane.
So how was this not like treated as the equivalent of somebody stealing out of the store? Like, if I steal out the store, I will either get chased by security, or if I do get caught with stolen goods, I go to jail, get prosecuted. People are running off, essentially stealing work, going around the world performing it, making music videos, printing up CDs.
It's like stealing a car and not going to the chop shop. It's like stealing a car and driving around for a year, valet parking in front of the club, throwing your keys to valet.
Why is it not? You know, why aren't these crimes, you know, treated as crimes? It's more so like a thing where you see it happen, and then, you know, you see two people, you know, beef for a couple years and get lawyers involved, but like sometimes nothing really happens. You know, it just remains an elephant in the room. Like, why? Like, is it something where it's like there aren't laws already written to protect these things?
I think we have to update the laws, you know, because it's intellectual property. It's like if you take a painting out of a museum, that is clear you were taking a physical thing. But because it's like this almost, you know, non-tangible thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just viewed a little bit different. So I think we have to make strides in legislation to get things like that passed through. You know, like Toom's talking about this thing called the Davis Act he's been working on, which is where when artists perform a song, the producer gets paid every time, not just on a television performance, you know, or something like that. But every time they hit the stage, it's like that's generating revenue. You know, it's like we have to move things around and think outside of the box and be like, if everything's shifting, we have to shift with it. And people can't look at us like we're crazy for shifting with it, you know? It's like, you know, you don't hear the labels complaining about streaming because you're getting these $500 million payouts at a time, not giving it to the artists, you know? I saw an article the other day, and they said, when will you divest in Spotify? And they said, when we sell our stock, you know? Like, when we sell our stock and divest, that's when we'll give it to the artists. And it's like, why would the bank robber take their hand out of the bank? If you're legally allowed to have your hand in the bank, why would they stop? Why would you divest in that? And you know? So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Being a creative, like, and that being the case, how do you feel about things like what Rock Marciano is doing, like with his last project, to where he sold it only on his website, period. Digital copy or physical copy, it was, I think, like $20, $30. And that's it. Like, it's not available on any streaming site. It's not available on iTunes. And he was like, I made more money off this than I've ever made off of any project.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I heard about that. That's dope. I feel like that's what artists are going to have to start doing, is getting creative and just stepping outside of the box. Because it's like all the things that are beautiful and great, like free distribution, they've all been co-opted for profit. You know what I'm saying? For corporational profit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like artists are gonna have to do stuff like that to take back their power. Like, I see a lot of people turning to Patreon now. You know, just like a membership platform to where people pay like X amount of dollars, however much they want, on a tiered system, and you get rewards or separate content or stuff like that. That's a great system too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like these things, stepping outside of the box and finding ways to support yourself outside of waiting on these labels to cut you a check. You know, I feel like if we keep making music and just put it ourselves, what if we find a way to sustain ourselves and don't need them no more? You know what I'm saying? Because we don't really need them. There's so many artists living outside of it, you know? So it's like, I wanted to just be where they recognize that they need us just as much as we do. And music is not indispensable. You know, I think because everybody can get a laptop for, you know what I'm saying, $500 and make, you know, whatever. To them, has made music disposable, you know? But Also, it's easier to pay people than ever. You know, they got PayPal and
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, send me my money. You know what I'm saying?
It's easier to pay people, but it's harder to track the money. Like,
somebody sent me that comment on Twitter. I was like, yes, that's exactly right. You know, so it's like,
that's super real. That's super real. Did this hearing, like, you already knew your own experience, and you had already had an experience of kind of being kind of done with the music industry, like after the whole Pill project and everything. So did this kind of sour you on it, or did it give you more fire after hearing all these other stories?
I'm so reinvigorated right now. You know, it's like, I'm so ready. I feel so charged up. Everybody's just been giving me all this good energy to tackle this cause. You know what I'm saying? And I realize it's going to have to be on, like, you know, everything's on a different timetable. You know, the union's going to take a minute. You know, the legislation's going to take a minute. But I can start up. I'm considering starting a nonprofit to put all this under the umbrella of. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's purely for educational purposes. You know, like, I'm not out here trying to be like a public figure pushing a cause or nothing like that. But I realize I have a platform, and people are listening to me when I'm speaking about this stuff, and they're not listening to some of these people who are in my emails. So I feel like I owe it to them to speak up for them. You know?
Right. Of the records that you can say, if there's one record that you can say, like, what's the biggest record that you can say? You don't have to name no names that somebody hasn't been paid for.
The biggest record?
Yeah.
Oh, #1 record that plays all the time.
You get, what's the name of the record?
I can't. He's gonna tell his story soon, but I can't tell his story. That's his story. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But he's gonna tell. It's plenty of stories about to come out that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just finding the right way to, you know, put all this stuff out there.
I understand that. I know that, switching gears a little bit, that you are a history guy and you're a news junkie, like, for real. So today, obviously there's a new story every day, but today we saw that 45, because we don't call his name, 45 fired the Secretary of State. Like, and as somebody who pays attention to news, pays attention to history, like, how crazy is that shit to you? Like, I rarely watch, like, local news. I just happen to be watching local news, and they just mentioned it in passing, and I immediately pulled out my laptop and started looking, because I'm like, dog, like,
that's a good one. My favorite part of the whole story is the aide immediately came out and said that the reason they said they fired him, or the way they fired him, didn't happen, and that he actually found out he got fired on Twitter, and then they fired the aide. That was my favorite part. They fired the aide for. I was like, oh man, this is too
straight
funny.
up, you can't fire people on Twitter.
Like, you can't. He fired him on Twitter.
He fired him on Twitter because that's how the news found out. They read the tweet live on the air, and I'm like, and then this is such a fucked up way to have the first woman director of the CIA. Like, she's probably like, word, I'm part of history like this.
She don't want that job.
Because she's been in the game for, like, she was, I believe, under the first Bush working in the CIA. So it's like, oh my God. It's too much.
It's madness, and it's like every day is something completely off the wall different. But the good thing is it's waking up everybody to just to look at government, because I feel like people weren't looking at government, you know? Right. It's like everything was just like hunky-dory, the Obama, but there was a whole bunch of extra shit going on, you know what I'm saying, still?
All the time.
At that time, you know? And it's like now it's like you can't ignore it, and that's the beautiful thing. You know, it's like it's right in your face, and people are actually, it's causing people to action. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's kind of like in my case, you know what I'm saying? It's like so egregious, it's causing people to make action.
I mean, it's amazing. We are to the point now where when the primary, I think it's May 18th here in Georgia, and this has been national news. It's Stacey Abrams is looking like people think she's going to be the first black woman to be the governor of Georgia. And I'm like, that's amazing. Nobody would have ever thought that shit would ever happen. Like, at no point in history. You know what I mean? And now it's like you have national outlets saying, hey, this lady is poised to do something that no one's ever done. So you're right. It's opening people's eyes because things are so out of control. Like, everything that you thought would never happen, it's a chance that it's going to happen. So maybe we will get a union for producers and engineers and all that.
Like, things so crazy out there, everybody really feels as if they have a shot. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's like, man, if this could happen, shit, let me put my name out there for some. Like, it's like really looking like a bad Chris Rock movie out here. You know what I'm saying?
Hilarious. Dude, so, like, obviously you're working on that, but speak a little bit about what you guys are doing with 5 Points Bakery and the stuff you're working on right now.
We've been doing a lot of production. We've been doing a lot of original samples for producers too. We found that was like
that's where it's at.
A hole in the marketplace of just creating music. That's so, because I feel like, you know, drums to a certain extent kind of in a certain groove right now. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to break away from that. You could try to do something different. There's jamming shit that's not it. But it's like there's kind of a certain thing. So it's like, if we can't change that, what can we do? Change the music. You know what I'm saying? So we've had a lot of pretty cool records. Like we had 2 records on Ugly God's album. Bitch and Fuck Ugly God. Beautifully titled.
That's Maurice's guy. That's the first time I ever heard of Ugly God when you brought him up like probably 2-3 years ago on the show.
Are you sure that was not Nadine Graham?
No, that was you. That was you.
Put it off on Nadine. She can't even finish.
Because I believe Nadine Graham's
that was you.
One of her daughters was listening to it. And
then dude, that was you. Pull the tape.
Rewind.
That was you. That was you. Because he's from Chicago, right?
I don't know anything about
it. He's from Mississippi. Okay. It might have been somebody else you brought with another crazy. But that's what's up. So you had 2 joints.
We got that. We did a record for Young Ma, Walk. We did that with One Mind, the guys that produced Unforgettable for French Montana.
Right. That's a good merging of sounds.
Yeah, it's nice. We've actually been doing a lot of work. We've been working with them for like the past 3 years. So to see them like blow up like that was like a really beautiful thing. It feels like everybody that we've been working with and, you know, kind of been around is like completely on and doing their thing. So it just kind of feels like we're coming right up in, you know what I'm saying, right up in that vacuum with them. We've just been working on a lot of music. We got an album coming out in like 2 weeks that has like a little taste of like a little bit of everything that we've been doing.
Nice.
It's got some beats, got some songs, got some samples, you know.
Because you've been doing instrumental joints, bringing them out. So yeah, what's the title of the album that's coming out in a couple weeks?
Don't have it right now.
That's the beauty of the music industry.
We don't have it right now.
You have an album coming out in 2 weeks and you don't know the title.
It's going to be out 2 weeks. It's going to be tight. I know that much. Past that, not really sure. It'll be cool. It'll be something interesting.
So like a mix of beats and a mix of original songs?
Yeah, just a little bit of everything. I feel like since the business is changing, models are changing, why shouldn't albums change? You know what I'm saying? Why does it have to just be a bunch of songs from this one artist? Why can't it just be everything we do all in one? You know what I'm saying? Like just a little vibe session. Like if you just walked into the studio with this, that's just naturally what the shit we would just play you. You know what I'm saying? We would just play some samples, we play some beats and some songs. So I'm like, we might as well just present that to the fans.
Yeah, because when you go to most people's house now, unless it's like some like event album that has dropped, people are usually just having random songs playing at the
playlist.
You're going to hear Gucci followed by Fela, followed by Ray Shrimmers, followed by whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I just made my first playlist on Spotify. Smoked Out Saturday Night on Spotify.
I saw you posted that. I saw you posted that on your Instagram. I'm going to have to check it out.
Inspired by all the Southern classics and stuff that we love, you know what I'm saying, and some newer stuff. But I love that. I'm already getting a bunch of followers on there and shit. You know, I'm like, just find these different ways to connect, and not everything has to be this event. I feel like we got, like you said, like before it's just like everything's a movie and it's a thing, and it's like, nah. Nowadays it's just like consistency. You know, be consistent, make good stuff, and consistently have it out. And it's like we have more avenues now than ever. You know,
everything in a movie. Some stuff is just a cool commercial.
Yeah, that's real. And it's like I haven't done just a mixtape in forever. You know, right?
Some of that shit is a YouTube documentary. Yeah, straight up. Yo, before we go, we used to do this segment. We haven't done it in probably like a year, right? Year and a half.
We haven't named it that. We
always do it.
Definitely said some outlandish things.
If you are a long time listener to Day1Radio, you know that early on we did Unpopular Opinions every week, and there was something that I saw earlier this week that was an unpopular opinion. Burn one wasn't prepared for this, and I just told Maurice when we came in the studio. So I'll start first, but everybody has to give one. So my unpopular opinion. New Edition got to cut it the fuck out. Like, seriously, we loved BBD. We love that y'all are so talented that y'all can do different albums with different configurations of the group. Then the 3 lead singers came out and did the head of state thing. Didn't really understand it. People seemed to like it. So, y'all had your 30th anniversary. Everybody's expecting a world tour. The stuff, you know, the movie did great on BET. We were like, we ain't seen nothing this good on BET since Teen Summit. So now I'm looking at the Pepsi Funk Fest lineup, and there's more acronyms. BRBM or BRB, be right back, whatever. Bruh, Nobody wants to see Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. It's too close to the original lineup. Just bring Bobby or Johnny in. Whatever they doing, they can chill out and come perform. Dude, nobody wants to see that. Y'all got to cut it out. Y'all got to chill. That's my unpopular opinion that I don't think is going to be that unpopular once people see fucking new edits because Shion is not there. Like, doesn't really make sense whatsoever. That's my unpopular opinion for the week.
That's a good one. Yeah. my unpopular opinion is journalists have to stop asking rappers 30 and under about their opinions on rappers. I don't want to hear nobody's opinion on the fucking rappers no more, dog. Enjoy what you like. Jam what you want. I don't care, dog. You know, I'm tired of hearing see the headline. So-and-so doesn't like Tupac, and this person, yo, Tupac means so much to me that no matter what they say, it don't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? And it just don't. They're from a different time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like it's just a setup question. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're setting these kids up just because you know they didn't listen to this shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like asking them about jazz. Why don't you ask them how they feel about Miles? You know what I'm saying? You're probably gonna get an equally bad, you know what I'm saying, answer about that. You know?
You're right. You're right.
It just seems like they're just setting these kids up. You know what I'm saying? They are. There's no way they're riding out to, you know, like Lil Xan might have heard Dear Mama. You know, so what's he gonna say? It's boring. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't care about his opinion about that shit. You know?
Right.
That may be a popular opinion. I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
I guess I'll piggyback off of something that we were talking about earlier. Cultural appropriation is not a big deal. What that shit means. They see a white person doing quote unquote black music and they automatically say, man, that's cultural appropriation. Like, but what if the shit's just jamming? What if they grew up on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people actually know what the word means because I don't think I know what it means. That's when people say it and get mad, I'm like, what are you actually angry about? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, cultural appropriation is overrated. That's my unpopular opinion.
I think that we all said that if the person gives credit, that it's not cultural appropriation. I have to add another rule to that. If your shit is whack, then it's cultural appropriation. Kenny G is cultural appropriation. Michael Bolton is cultural appropriation. Vanilla Ice, cultural appropriation. If Eminem keeps making these whack ass albums, cultural appropriation. Please stop letting Eminem produce his own beats. Dr. Dre, please step in. Do something, brother.
Me, Eminem. We got
hello. He can give you some Mexican flavors, some white flavor, everything. Holla at him. You ain't never heard a whack burn one beat. Come on, man. Stop it.
It's like, I feel like if the conversation around it right now was like that in like the 80s, like people would be like, David Bowie is, you know what I'm saying, a cultural appropriation. But I was literally just listening to George Clinton on Red Bull, his Red Bull interview the other day, and he said he listened to Fame and he made "We Want the Funk." Gotta have that funk. Dude, literally, if you listen to it, it's the same song.
Just like you can,
like their spin on it.
Just like you can learn from anybody, no matter their age. You can be inspired by anybody, no matter their age. Like, people gotta chill with these rules, and it's usually people that's not creating shit, like, that are saying this. At the end of the day, they doing whatever they do to make money, and then getting on Facebook talking shit. Like, relax. Like, it's cool. But yo, please tell people, A, where they can email you their stories, and B, where they can find you on social media.
The label still owes me at Gmail. We're gonna have a website up real soon. Probably not gonna be that title, but we'll have that up soon. Where you can reach out. We'll have stories and information and stuff like that. And our website is www.the5pointsbakery, all spelled out, the5pointsbakery.com. We just put up a beat shop, so we just got into licensing beats online again. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's just a new marketplace. You know what I'm saying? We have to break our old way of thinking, selling one beat to one artist, and now it's like you could lease one beat to 1,500 artists, and each of them have an opportunity to make a hit. And then if one of those takes off, they can buy the exclusive rights and own that record. It's just a new day, and we just have to break these old ways of thinking. You know what I'm saying?
I agree 100%. And somebody needs to do the publication or the website still owes me for all the journalists out there who haven't been paid.
It's a movement.
Don't be like me running up in the Source magazine offices and threatening people to get my money. I'm not even about that life, but I got my bread. Shout out to Dave and them. All right, we appreciate y'all listening to Day One Radio. Appreciate y'all watching on Live Hip Hop Daily. We will see you next week with another dope show. Peace.